Hi, everybody. It is an honor to be on the pilot episode of Life on Side B.
We are going to get through this together, and we are going to make so many mistakes.
I used to see gay people, and I'd be like, I want a gay best friend.
And you got one!
The LGBT portion of the Christian Side B community has a voice, and they're afraid to say a whole lot for the T community because they don't want to misspeak. But in not speaking, they're further marginalizing the T community who are seeking to be a part of the church.
What do we do when a gay couple comes to our church and actually decides, yeah, we're supposed to become celibate, so what do we do now? This is something that the church needs to start thinking about, looking to the future rather than just holding its feet. Y'all don't have to listen to just me anymore. We have so many other amazing voices to listen to who are here with me. Woo! Whoa.
Oh, I was gonna say that was the side X revolting.
Oh my god.
We have awoken them.
Sexual desires are a part of being human. Bring them close to you. Bring them close to God. If you hold them at arm's length, they will come out sideways in less helpful ways.
We are all enjoying the life of quarantine. And this is probably going to be the most unprofessional episode, but we're showing life in the midst of Corona.
Okay, if racism is a sin issue, why are we not as concerned about policing racism as we are concerned about policing the sex lives of queer people?
How about that?
Like, as
oh my god, Josh, you're gonna have to make some edits to this because I'm gonna say some things that are probably gonna need to be cleaned up. How about that? Okay.
Unless he's wearing a diaper, you can't change him. That's what I've heard.
It's just one of those things.
Can't change him.
You have so much worth and value, and the Father loves you so much. He feels the pain that we feel. The Father's heart is grieved by the evil in this world, and that evil includes the pains that we commit against each other.
But the question is not, is Side B diverse? The question is, are the institutions that we have set up including people?
We are literally making culture. I mean, we are at the forefront of what is this going to be in the church because it's not been an identifiable community.
There's no part of the Bible that requires of us or asks of us to hide any part of ourselves, not even our flaws or our fallen nature.
David, when your voice came in this conversation, like I mentioned, you came in like a wrecking ball that Miley Cyrus was on, and I am just like...
I'm like seeing myself on a wrecking ball as you say that, and I'm like, health and safety, goodbye.
Our new co-host, Elizabeth Black. Elizabeth!
Hello Josh. Hi everyone.
These friendships, these commitments aren't going to last if we're not really actually committed to them. How do we make this work for the long haul?
So one of the things that I needed to work through was like, first of all, God is the King of salvation, not celibacy and singleness. That is something that I needed to seep into like my very core.
My name's Jacob. I get the privilege of serving with these lovely people as one of their interns.
And that means he has to deal with our chaotic group chat.
I feel like we're all in different stages of life than we were when we started this.
Yes.
Different challenges of life, and I'm really glad that at the same time, when we started in this conversation, there weren't a lot of voices, and in a sense, like in the time now that we are leading, there are.
I did tell her about our idea of whenever this podcast ends, just to have everyone who's ever served as a co-host and just like have everyone together.
That would be great.
That would be great.
Yeah. Can you imagine if this gets like season 10 or something?
I
can't be around for that.
Just, at 10 years, would you be like,
Take this real quick. Hold on. This is Henry.
What are you doing? What?
Hey, so we're what's up?
It's all right. Josh can edit this out.
No, it's staying in.
No, that'll be tomorrow after the end of the day. At the end of the day.
What's happening?
Yes. Okay. It's a staff-related question. Okay. Sorry, we're recording the podcast right now. So.
Coordinator Henry, everyone. Conference coordinator.
Okay,
he is coordinating.
yes.
Henry Abudo is currently
so
coordinating as
okay,
we
thank
speak.
You. All right. Bye. I had to take the call.
Okay.
Welcome, everyone.
My gosh.
Gosh.
What a trip down memory lane.
Wow, what a journey.
What a journey.
Chaotic.
This was the chaos one final time.
That's right.
One final time.
Wow.
Oh, Henry tonight.
I know. I was like, honestly, the clip with Henry answering the phone call, I couldn't fit it in with the music, so I'm like, we're just adding it at the end.
Yeah.
We're just adding it at the end.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That will forever go down.
The first
That's
episode,
good.
God.
I did.
It was a great choice.
I was in my
favorite
bed.
moment, I think. Nothing to do with the actual podcast, but I think
At
my
all.
favorite moment.
No.
Yeah.
Wait, Henry, what were you saying about your bed?
The very first podcast we did, I recorded in bed, and here I am, the very last one recording in
Oh my
bed.
gosh, it's full circle.
Gosh, full
Yeah.
circle. 100%.
Yes.
Ashley's back in her closet, probably.
No.
I
No,
asked
you're
her
not?
that. She said she's
Oh.
My
not.
camera's just this bad.
She's
Oh my gosh, you
I'm
can't
in
say
closet.
that.
I'm just in my little house.
Come.
Wow.
Welcome.
Well, hello, listeners. We are here at the final episode. And if you're watching on YouTube, you get to see us. We're here.
Wait,
Hi.
you get to see who?
I put in the chat. We're recording
For
the
the
video.
last one? Oh my
For the last
gosh.
one.
I would have gotten
Uh-huh.
dressed. Who am I kidding? I wouldn't
felt
have.
the same way when I came on. I was like, oh, great. I'm wearing my pajamas with sweatpants as a shawl of sorts. So this is my
Girl,
look for the night.
I
you
love
look
it.
fabulous. I need
Fabulous.
to see what you look like in nighttime gala wear, because blow us all away if that's your pajamas.
Oh my
Right.
I'm
gosh.
trying, I don't want to tempt anyone. So,
Yeah.
I'm looking.
Yeah,
I'm
she doesn't
looking
want
out
anyone
for
to
my
stumble.
brothers and sisters and
Yeah.
them friends.
I'm
out
not
there.
tempted, I'm just intrigued.
Intrigued. And we are not just the six of us here. We are joined by our amazing intern, Jacob. And as you have already heard, our old, dear second season co-host, Mary.
Yay!
Mary,
Yay!
welcome
Hello.
back.
And Jacob. Hello.
Don't lie,
Jacob.
you've all forgotten about me. It's okay.
No,
Pretty much.
no.
No.
I didn't forget.
Gosh. Yeah. How do we feel being finally here in the last episode? We've talked about this for a while.
Yeah. It's so interesting because we record. Also, Becca, I love your hair. But all the seasons have been recorded, but it's been in like pockets and parts. A lot of us haven't interacted as much as we normally do during a season. And so, but it's all said and done, and here we are. We're at the finish line, and I look forward to seeing where the baton goes next, and who takes the baton. But here we are. It has been a wonderful race. I feel like the Lord is telling us, well done, good and faithful servants. And so, here we are.
Yeah. We didn't get to season 10, but we're at season 6. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Great.
Who said that? Was that Grant
Quite
that said
the
he couldn't get to that?
accomplishment.
You said it. You did.
Yeah,
It
so
was
look, I couldn't get to 10.
Yeah.
Listen, that
People-
that survived the pandemic. I think that's well regarded. And
Yeah, that's
What-
true.
Well, I'd love for us to start by discussing favorite moments. I mean, we can talk about things from this season so far of what we've heard, but we can also talk about just throughout the series.
Well,
favorite moments, funniest moments.
the one that we were talking about before we started recording was January 6th.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh. That.
so, Grant, your favorite part of this podcast was January 6th.
Because we
You're gonna
recorded that
believe it.
day.
Where were you, Grant?
That's
Where
going to
were
require
you?
some context.
Well, I was this is the January 6th, and I was no. I was at the seminary I was going to at the time, had to leave for gay reasons, eventually. But I was recording virtually at the QCF conference with Josh. You were there, right? You were there, and Darren Calhoun was there. And I stumbled out of that room that I had used in the library for this purpose, and then I was like bewildered. So, because history was happening again. And I hate when that happens. So, I think that moment is not technically on the podcast, but
No.
that
is like a moment.
He got kicked
I don't
off.
know.
He just fell out in mid-sentence, everyone.
That's amazing. He didn't want to reveal the rest of his January 6th story.
You know,
That's fine.
It's
No.
not a
And I
Life on Side
remember-
B episode.
Our
without-
chat was so
without
funny
technical
that day.
issues.
We were
It was crazy.
recording the episode at Revoice, and you guys talked about that, and I was just like, wait, that was this year?
Mm-hmm. I remember that because it
Yeah.
was so crazy that it all happened.
Oh yeah, because
same
that was
year.
that was October 2021. That's wild.
Yeah.
And we're back
Yeah.
again. Look at that.
We are here. Hopefully,
And we just reelected that guy. Shout out
That's
America.
America did.
Yeah.
Not us.
Are we really going here? Is that
Oh.
what
Mhm.
Yeah, our last
I've been
episode,
listening-
we're going to go out with a political conversation.
Because
now-
I'm
I
okay
was
with
listening
it.
to Ezra
I'm
Klein
here.
recently.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw yesterday on like a feminist page on Facebook, and it was like, you see how I didn't storm the Capitol? Very demure, very mindful.
Mhm.
Oh my god. Reminds me, there were a couple of, just fun people who said, go and meet at the Capitol. They did in the middle of this snowstorm on January 6th. And they basically had a good time, had a snowball fight, as I understand it.
I love that.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Reclaim January 6th.
We love a peaceful transition.
Yeah.
Yes. So other moments of the podcast. that
My
stand
favorite
out to
is
you.
anytime Leslie's on, because I just cry whenever I listen to their episode.
Leslie?
Yeah. Yes. Like,
Yeah.
just so much wisdom contained. And I feel like they've taught so much to not only us as hosts, but just like the broader community. Because like, what's said in that clip, the LGB often doesn't speak about the T. I'm not just for those fools people who want to be part of the church and the body. And so that's just been, I value their insight so much.
Yeah.
For sure.
And they have been, I have always admired and wanted to learn from their commitment to make really hard decisions in order to speak up for inclusion of trans people in the Side B community. Yeah. So any others?
Even though it
Remember-
flew... Oh, good.
No. Go.
I say it flew very much so under the radar, but the fact that we got Jackie Hill Perry on the podcast felt like an accomplishment.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
That was a fun episode
one.
too.
I remember
so true.
I was after we recorded it, I was completely soaked in sweat because I was so nervous about getting that episode right.
Yes.
That I was just drenched in my anxiety. But it was such a great conversation.
That was.
Like,
It really was.
Not only did we have fun, but to hear her evolution of perspective as it relates to Side B I felt like it was a real honor.
Yeah. Well,
I was gonna say, I just remember vividly walking and listening to the podcast. I was not yet a co-host. This was season 1, and listening to, what were their names? Matt and Max, I want to say.
Yeah.
On Syllabate Partnership, and just really, really connecting with that. Before I was co-host, before I even was a thought in Josh's mind of inviting me, that one just really touched on me, and especially because they were very honest about it, and I really have appreciated that from this entire podcast over the years. And then, of course, shout out as a Catholic to Eve Tushnet and the amount of times that she's come on. I've just loved, hearing from her always. And then, Ashley, you probably remember this, us just talking about queer media way back in, I think, season 4. I had to remind myself of some of these, but that one was just pure shooting the breeze, like fun.
Yeah, that one was
which,
fun.
Of course, I loved.
Yeah, that was really good. I just re-listened to it because
was that
of this.
the Pride episode that was like one of like
It
the
was-
bonus episodes?
It was kind of our Pride episode for the year. We decided to not talk about directly Pride, but we were like, let's talk about LGBT media or representation.
Okay.
So for that year, that was about Pride.
Yeah, it was just a fun
yeah.
episode to be on and talk about.
Yeah. Mary, I know one that Grant just keeps going in and out.
The
Like,
devil is
Grant apparently didn't like that episode.
he was just like, no,
I appreciated
I am
it.
done.
I think he was on that episode.
He was.
It was like my love of Supercore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
It's
my
like
gosh.
a whole new generation of queer media that I needed. Like, I watched Supergirl because of that episode. Like, I just binged the entire series.
I love
And I was
that.
like, oh my gosh, there are all these things that I don't know about. And like, tried to connect with the young whippersnappers so I would have something to talk with them
Whippersnappers. Oh my
about.
gosh.
And it was the like,
Did you connect?
Yes.
Are you also slightly obsessed with Katie McGrath?
maybe just a little. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I know,
think,
Mary, one that sorry, I'll just say, Mary, I know one of yours that I've heard so many things was your interview with Julia Sadusky.
Sadusky, yes.
Yes. Have multiple times brought that
wonderful.
up.
I remember just being on my my old household pet at that time because I think I was out of work recently and recording that, and it was just great. Sorry, that was unrelated to the drops of wisdom, not even drops, it was a full rainfall of wisdom that she gave that episode. But
Oh my gosh, yeah.
no, she was wonderful to talk to.
Jacob, were you going to say something?
Yeah. I think one memory like that I just have ingrained in my mind is I was walking to class and listening to the episode that Elizabeth and Henry did with Nate on Joy.
That's irony
And,
upon irony, just that one statement you just made.
Because Nate and I are fellow alumni of the same institution, and yeah, it was just I just have that memory just like ingrained.
That was really.
I can't. Oh, go ahead, Henry. Sorry.
No, I just like. It's rare that like obviously I have a friendship with Nate and we get to talk, but it's rare that like I get to actually talk to Nate at that level in that capacity. So that was, and I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that one as well. So.
Yeah, it was really good. I can't. I mean, I could talk about particular episodes, but I think just in general, I have been so blessed personally by how vulnerable this podcast has been, how we do not shy away from the difficult conversations and difficult issues. And it goes beyond, it encompasses yet goes beyond the conversation of sexuality and gender. Like Grant was saying, we talked about what happened with the insurrection. We talked about COVID. We talked about George Floyd and the racial reckoning and, repercussions of that movement. We've talked about sexual abuse. We've talked about church and ministry hurt and trauma. Like, we've just really dove deep into, I think, the things that I either would not have been able to talk about before I was out and before, I felt comfortable speaking my truth, and things that I know so many listeners are like, finally, somebody's saying something about this, and unapologetically so. So I just want to say, like, thank you for previously when I was a listener, and thank you for the opportunity of being able to be a part of just candid conversations where the Lord has met us, because it has been such a joy.
Yeah. You gonna say something, Becca?
Yeah, I think that's been one of my favorite parts of like the mission and the personality of the podcast, is that it gave all of us a place outside of our either professional or ministerial or church role, whatever it was, to be able to talk about things that we wouldn't have been able to talk about anywhere else. And
yes,
I mean, pushed the envelope in multiple directions, like the fact that we talked about trans issues before the rest of the Side B community felt like it was something that we could do. But then we also turned around and talked to Jackie Hill Perry. Like those two, it wasn't like we had to be one direction or the other or figure out. It's like, we're just going to talk about all the things that we're interested in talking about, and y'all can just deal with it. And I always really appreciated having a place to be able to do that. It was a good outlet for so many other aspects of my life.
Yeah.
And
And cherry on top of that, we're just going to talk about it and y'all have to deal with it. Cake was Josh's episode on polyamory recently.
Oh my gosh.
Which as soon as that baby went live, I was like, listen to it right away. I loved it.
You know, the funny part of that is like, you should have seen Christian's face when I brought this up to him. And I was like, so for my episode, I decided I want to talk about polyamory. And he was like, you know, everyone's going to think we're looking for a third, right?
Oh my God.
Are you currently taking applications?
Open it up.
I mean, people would apply.
God, it was so perfect. It was so beautiful and perfect. And I was like, listen, I just feel like in mine and Christian's context, where he works in public health and I'm a pastor, the amount of like gay thruples and open relationships I only know of in my personal context, I only know of one monogamous gay couple, gay
That's
male couple
crazy.
at least. That's it. And it's just a reality. And if we're going to engage in the queer community, we have to talk about it. And so it's like, how are we going to engage with this and how are we going to understand their perspective, regardless of what you think? That's why then I made an extra episode like thing on Instagram. Everyone, breathe, calm.
Let's calm it down.
Not advocating.
I love that.
Not advocating. So it's just a whole funny thing. But I am glad it was
but you
one
know
thing
what?
I was really passionate about.
You know what?
What I advocate. Go ahead, Henry. I'm sorry.
This is why straight people want to take away our rights. Because damn it, we got married. Now y'all want to add 3 people into this marriage. I'm like, what is going on?
No, when
It's
Josh said, I want to do
economics.
one on polyamory, That's right. I was like, of course you do.
Yeah.
It is economical.
It is
okay?
economics. Okay? That's the
They're not doing
It's
it for
rented
economical
high.
reasons. Okay.
It is
I'm
economics.
sorry, are you bringing back the marriage of convenience?
Look,
Yes.
I'm telling
Hey.
you
Yeah.
right now, y'all, since the last time we recorded, we have added another member of to our household. So now we are four adults,
That's true.
3 dogs, 2 children.
Yeah.
I
And
like that
does it
adult to
benefit
children
all of us
ratio. I
financially?
need to work on that.
Oh, it's girl, life changing.
Still working
I only
on
have to
the
pick
1
up my
adult to
kids
2
once a
children.
week.
It's not okay. Yeah.
And
No,
don't
I
you
only
have
to pick up my
preteens
kids
back?
from the bus
Yes.
once a week, huh?
Yeah, Nora's in
What'd
middle
you say,
school
Ashley?
now.
Oh my god.
I know.
Yeah, I saw a picture of her. She was so big. Oh my gosh. But no, Josh, what I loved about that episode was you guys were not highlighting the controversy around it, but you were willing to engage with the character and kind of the philosophy behind polyamory in the ways that I think a lot of us aren't willing to really talk about and dare I say find value in. And I was super encouraged by I saw my family in that episode.
Yeah.
And it gave me encouragement in the way that you guys talked about the whole elevator analogy. Oh, that was
Yeah.
joy. That was joy.
And
I just read that today in was it other significant others?
Yeah.
Because I just started
So
that
that
book like
book
the other
changed
day.
my life.
They actually had that part in there.
Amazing. Yeah, it was really helpful. I hadn't heard of it. Go ahead, Chico.
And dare I say we were maybe exploring what kind of queer treasure there might be in other
Thank you.
other kinds of
Nice. I
relationships.
love it.
Thank
I
you.
said queer treasure and Grant
Yeah.
snuck out again. I mean, you just
Yeah,
Y'all,
exactly.
can't handle it.
I don't even know if we're gonna end up using the video in here, but if we don't, the
It's just
constant
Grant.
popping in of Grant is just perfect.
But
Because
You're definitely gonna have to put a little Grant's counter on the side.
yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
that'd be great.
But no,
I don't
like
even know where we're at 5.
on like a serious note about that, like I think it's recognizing the fact of this is a part of queer culture right now.
Yeah.
Not even right now, just like in general. And there maybe, just maybe, not everything ends and queer culture is evil, and maybe
Absolutely.
we can find good things.
Well, and I think one thing I would love, what I don't feel I said it this way in the episode, but what I was hoping to convey to people is let's take the position polyamory does not fit into Christianity. Let's take that position right here. I'm trying to advocate in the episode that we as Side B people are especially equipped to engage with poly people, because what are all of us have been talking about for 6 seasons? Multiple relationships, engagement, intentional community, loving multiple people, the ways we are uniquely creating families. All of that is stuff that poly people talk about and they understand.
Intimacy.
Communal
intimacy.
intimacy.
I was just going to say that, Becky.
And so it's
Becky. Why did I call you
if
Becky?
nothing else, we Side B people are so uniquely equipped to engage with poly people in this way, regardless of what perspective you're coming from. So, and that's what I'm hoping listeners can take from it. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was beautifully done.
Thank you.
And worst case scenario, we just make an economic argument that how are you going to afford rent if you don't have 8 people in your house?
No, Christian and I cannot afford to live by ourselves in Florida. We cannot. It's just not possible. So, and that's just, we have roommates. That's it. Grant, can you hear us?
Can I?
Yes.
Yay!
He's back.
Listeners may be wondering why I've been so quiet. It's because my internet has been...
We have been
okay, good.
We've commented on it, yeah.
Wait, are we still on the remembering episodes thing?
Yeah, we've been talking about polyamory.
Okay, well, I want to remember my conversation with...
Your audio cut out.
Can you hear me now?
You did that on?
Are you serious?
I love this.
We should
Grant
not
was
have...
just about to drop a nugget of wisdom and we lost.
We should not have joked about his technical issues, because now this is going to be the theme of the last episode.
Get behind him.
I feel.
What if finale is not?
Grant works hard, but the devil works harder.
Yes.
Well, we might come back to Grant's texting me, tell the listeners I'm going to scream.
Okay.
Localize that.
Yeah. So we will come back to favorite moments when he comes on, so he can have a space. But now I want to, because again, we've been saying it here. We are a place of honesty. We are going to be vulnerable. We're going to be honest. What are some things maybe you've regretted about the podcast? Maybe things we didn't cover that you wish we covered. Maybe things we had done differently. Maybe in content or the way or something, if there's anything.
I mean, I regret we didn't get to 10.
There we go. Yeah.
You know what?
I don't even know how this would have worked, but in context, not sure how this would have worked, but I think it would have been awesome if we would have been able to have more dialogues across the sides.
Yes, I was thinking that too.
Having more affirming voices, having more side X voices, having more side Y voices.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
Because I think something that we, as side B people, have maybe a unique perspective in is how all 4 sides can work together. And create that unity of the body.
Yeah.
Yes. Watch some of the listeners start doing 4.
Or
they're gonna be like,
what?
I mean, 6 sides. I think you could probably argue if you wanted to.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. I think that was my thought too. Where can we find common ground? Where could we all sit at the table and to have conversations like that would have been great. And to openly disagree with one another in a way that's God honoring, because we haven't been able to see that. We're always coming on to the podcast being like, ugh, what did so-and-so say about us today?
Yeah.
Who's ranting on Becca today? And instead to be...
And lobbing bombs on Twitter isn't working.
Yeah. And I think to be able to really have a conversation face to face, in a way.
Yeah.
And have everybody see what peaceful discourse can look like.
Oh, 100%. That's the season that I had always planned for us to do. Conversations with people that hate us. That's what I wanted.
Yeah. That's true.
But
Yeah,
it was
that's true.
like Conversations Across the Divide probably would have been what it was called. But yeah, that's would have been. And that's one thing where I love seeing what has coming after us, because I'll tell you all, we did the episode with New Kinship. That they're doing this that kind
That's
of
what
thing.
they're doing, yeah.
And I'm
Great.
so glad that they're doing it, especially with affirming conversations of like
It's
learning
awesome.
how to have those conversations. So this is also what makes me excited about the things that are coming as well.
Yeah.
Well, and I saw Greg Coles recently did a conversation with I want to say with Justin Lee on I forget which podcast.
It was Justin Lee, and it was a webinar with Brian. Brian's a great friend. So
that's right,
his ministry. I'll see if I can link that in the notes, but that was a great conversation. I think
then,
oh yeah, go ahead.
His conversation with Alan Chambers was also fascinating.
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might have possibly sparked an idea for a doctoral dissertation that
I didn't even hear that happened. Greg just pops up in places.
Yeah,
he does.
He does.
No, Greg didn't do a conversation. It was Brian did a conversation with.
Oh, that's
Chambers.
right. Yeah, Brian did one with Alan, and then I don't remember who the woman was, but on like 10 years since the closing of Exodus.
Wow.
That whole thing.
That
Wow.
sounds interesting. I would love to hear that.
Yeah,
that does sound good.
It's totally worth it.
I'll send it to you.
Thank you.
Send it to me as well.
Yeah. Brian is a great friend. Hello, Brian, if you're listening to this.
You know who I
what?
wish
Yeah.
we would have said yes, we would have gotten? Beth Moore. I still
I remember
that would have been
that.
amazing. Yeah.
Yes.
When
That
we
would
got
have
the
been amazing.
response saying no, I was like, oh no.
I
But she
would
was
have
just
loved
busy.
that.
That was
Yeah. That would
We
have
were
been
wishing.
been fun.
If she ever says yes or something, we just need to keep asking.
We're coming back
we will
together.
come back
That's right.
just for that episode.
Which,
Yeah.
and I want to, we're going to talk more about that, but I want to tell people this podcast will be open in case there's more. But yeah, one regret I have is that we didn't do more in Spanish, Ashley. That's been one.
Yes.
Because we do need more Spanish content, and it just never really worked out, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But I
And TJ asked us about it too. It's like, we tried. He's like, what do you mean you tried? I was like, it's hard to find people.
It's really hard. And like, yeah. So that's one regret I have, because I'd really hoped, like, two of the commitments I had wanted to make on Life on Side B was that every season we would have an episode dedicated to trans experiences, and every season we would have a Spanish episode. And we kept the first one.
Yeah.
I kept the second one. But
I
there we
will
go.
say this. My husband listened to Jan's episode a few years ago.
Yeah.
And it was when things finally clicked. He's like, I think I get it now.
That's beautiful. Well, I remember you telling us about that, and I was so excited because I know he had struggled with that for so long.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Grant,
I
say
think-
something.
Oh,
really
sorry.
quickly. Oh, no, he's muted.
No.
You're
Grant,
muted.
I'm gonna
can't hear
pray
you.
to our brand new saint of the internet, Carlos Acustis, on your behalf. This is crazy.
Check what it says for your microphone, Grant, while we do that. So maybe it's checking that. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
I was gonna say, Josh, I loved your commitment to having an episode a season dedicated to the trans conversation. I think what would have been so awesome is if we had a trans co-host.
Yes.
To be able to have their perspective just woven into our dialogue would have been really amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, so I have always said that there were two people that were always on the list if specific co-hosts had left. If, like, you know, because I've always tried to keep it diverse and stuff.
Mhm.
And my plan had always been that if Becca or Ashley had decided to leave and we were doing another one, that Leslie would be the co-host, if Leslie would say yes. The other one that I've always said is, Grant, if you had left, I would have asked Timon Lee.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hey, we have
great.
audio.
That's
Timon.
That would have been great.
Go ahead, Henry.
Timon would have been an interesting choice. Him and I together on a podcast.
Yes.
That
I
too.
probably would have.
Oh.
Wait, what did you say?
I did say anything.
Nothing. He didn't say anything.
What you have done?
Well, there we go.
I love Timon. Him and I have chaotic energy
Henry
together.
noticed he didn't say anything about us leaving because we would have been like, "You get rid of the black people."
Yeah,
That's right.
Yes.
And you got to replace that.
Yeah,
All two
get
of
rid
them
of me.
publicly. Yeah.
Try it. Try to get rid of me.
There we go.
That's right, Elizabeth. I know that's right.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
He didn't even think about it.
No, here we go. Here's the thing. Surprisingly, I knew from the beginning Henry would stay. I knew, Henry, you were going to stay. I don't know why, but I sensed it. I knew it. I felt it in my bones.
I mean, I almost left one time.
Yeah. Elizabeth, if you had left, because I knew you were busy, I was going to ask Johanna Marie Williams.
Oh, okay.
That
Now I
would've
want
been-
another season with all of these other hosts. Can we do that?
Wait,
this multiverse version
Yeah,
of like
multiverse
side
version.
B.
Side B,
I
the
kind of
new
really
co-host.
want.
How funny.
Josh.
I want the season with all the people who disagree with us, and I want Timon and Rosaria Butterfield on a podcast together.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'll
I
listen
would
to that.
love
would
to
I would
see
be
it.
yeah.
I want that to exist.
Yeah. The funny part is I'm assuming all of these people would have said yes. It's like, but
Yeah, that's fair.
You know
I
they're
would've hoped.
listening and they're like, darn it.
Darn it. I
So
know.
you are
Could've
keeping
killed
up
that.
with the scene. It's Life on the Side B podcast.
That's right. Grant, I did not share your favorite moments. Do you want to go ahead and share what your
Oh.
favorite moments were?
Some other favorite moments that I was thinking of is conversation with Joel Briggs about his art and about the possibilities of art. I think his art is just beautiful, and that conversation was really fun for me. I also really enjoyed talking with Bridget Eileen Rivera about her book when it came out.
Yes.
I thought that was such a good conversation, and I was so honored that she came on.
Did we interview her together?
I don't think so. I think that was just me and her.
Okay, talk to her about
Yeah,
her book.
maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
She did one with me and Greg Coles about homeschooling. She
true,
did
too.
one about her book, and then I think she was actually in another one, but I can't
Yeah.
remember.
I
might have
think
done three,
Grant did the
okay.
other one on victimization. Yeah.
I don't think the homeschooling one has ever come out.
It's a patron episode, which
It was
will
a bonus
those will be
patron episode,
dropping
yeah.
after this. I
Wow,
will be
okay.
dropping them publicly.
And
His
then-
patron will close.
Elizabeth, our QCF conversation
Oh my gosh.
was so good. I
That
felt
was
like the
amazing.
spirit was moving.
It was great.
then.
That was
Um,
our Oprah interview.
Yeah, that was one of
'cause
my
you-
favorites.
Mhm.
Yeah. It was so good.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
You were like,
No, that
why are you just interviewing me? What is this, Oprah? And I was like, yes.
Did I
Yes,
say
it
that?
is.
no
Oh my gosh.
that episode and the one that Josh did with Paulo on sexual integrity are like the two that I like end up downloading, re-downloading, and re-listening to most regularly.
Yeah, I've already said it this season, but that was a life-shifting moment for me, the interview with Paulo. I think it shifted the way I became a leader. It shifted the way, because it was just the decision, I'm going to be honest regardless, and things can shift as they need to. And I think that was literally changed the way that I was going to not just lead this podcast, but like as a pastor, as a leader, as a Christian, learning to just be like, yeah, I have failed even while leading this whole thing. So yeah. Why not while leading it? It happened. Yeah, anyway. Mm-hmm.
If we're talking about life-changing moments, I think being able to host the Pride episode was a life-changing moment for me.
That was so
If
sweet.
for no other reason than I think, like, I don't think I've ever shared this with anyone, but the Lord used that moment for me to tell me, like, no, like, you are a part of this conversation, like, and you have something to say here.
Absolutely.
And you have things that you're contributing, and you, like, yes, you look up to these people, but also, like, they are your friends. They are, like, your colleagues. That's a weird word.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like, the Lord really used that, like, that conversation to say, like, you have something to say here.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, Jacob, I mean, we're going to give this can be a moment of moving into giving, as Henry would say, giving flowers to each other.
As black people would say.
As black people would say, especially. I'm saying it is a black culture context. I am just saying that in this situation because this is one that you bring up all the time.
Yes.
Trying to get rid of
For
us.
the drop-down menu of explanatory.
I am just trying to give honor where honor is due of where this phrase has come up. But Jacob, I will say this, which I have actually never verbally said before. When I was talking about co-hosts that who I would, ask to join, I'm going to be honest with you in this moment. If I had ever decided that the podcast needed to keep going and I was not going to do it, I was going to ask you if you wanted to take it over.
Yeah, that would have been good.
Would you have said yes, Jacob?
Yes, I would have.
Oh, no
I think-
hesitation.
Well, do you still want to do it?
I genuinely think...
Here you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, do you want Rosaria Butterfield and
I already listed out your potentially new co-host.
Yeah. Your first step is trying to get a schedule together.
Well, it's something that I said, and you know what? Hey, we'll talk about future of life on Side B stuff in the future, but that'll put a pin in there. But yes, this is a moment. This has not just been something for listeners, but this has been a growing moment for all of us as like a family. And we've talked about it multiple times. People have wondered, are we actually friends? And I know our group chat is not as like constant as it was, but I know that we are all deeply care for each other. So
I actually like these people.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
I mean,
and obviously this is not a goodbye.
Elizabeth today and Jacob.
Okay,
I
that's
already
fair.
love you,
That's
Mary.
I be honest.
Love it.
No,
and you don't have to include everyone, but just want to open the floor of if there's like special things you want to share with other co-host members about your experience on this podcast. Were you going to say something, Henry?
Yes, I was like, I know. I've been working on not saying that in therapy for years. But so I know that I've tremendously enjoyed this. And our chat has kind of just mirrored our lives. Like, it's been a little more sporadic touch and go here. Just our lives over the past 5-6 years have changed so much. And so it's like, I mean, sometimes like, yeah, we used to be very active in the chat, but we're still in there when things are juicy, y'all. So don't worry, we're still in the chat when things are juicy.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
I mean, now it's like we get glimpses of each other's lives, but it's not like, it's like catching up with like a dear family member versus just catching up with like a stranger or like someone you barely know. So I think that's been sweet over the years. And there's a foundation of safety and trust found amongst us that it's like, I can pick up with this person where we left off, or, hey, I know this person is thinking and being cares for me, even if like we haven't spoken a little bit, but it's like, if I need something, I know I can call Elizabeth, I can call Becca, I can call Ashley, I can call Josh, and call Grant, and we can have chaotic conversations, fun conversations. And, to do something for 5 years, with people you like, it's a testament. Cause like, I mean, a lot of people, I don't know if I like a lot of people for 5 years to do something with them routinely.
It's a long-term relationship, right?
Yeah, it really is.
Wait, are we breaking up?
No.
No, don't say it.
No.
We're getting married.
This is a polycule.
I was about to...
That was the reason for the episode on polyamory.
Yeah, I'm just so thankful for everybody's wisdom. Like, there have been so many times, whether it's when I was on an episode with somebody else or listening to an episode where I'm like, that, they just said that? Like, wow. Just like these one-liners or these deep reflections that are just full of wisdom. And I can't pick one of you because I think we've all done it. And it's just been so beautiful to see and be a part of. Grant, I love your contemplative spirit. I hope that resonates, because whenever you open your mouth, it is
with deep thought and consideration. And I think whenever you've received from people on this podcast, whether it be from one of us or a guest, you've really taken it to heart and considered it. And it lives in you. And I just love that about you. And it makes you so sincere, that the fact that you are so freaking edgy and keep people on their toes. No, it's true. Keep people on their toes. It's comes from such a place of authenticity that I think people can receive it in ways that they couldn't receive it from other people. So I really want to give you that flower.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
You. Yeah. I want to give, like, I could give something to all of you. And, like, in some ways, I will. Henry, I think I've told you before, I thought you hated me when we first started this podcast.
That's so funny.
Still so much did. But you have literally come to be one of the dearest people in my life. Like, you do not understand the moment I got home and Christian was the first one to hear about you, like, being in the hospital. Like, I cannot tell you how my heart was wrecked. Like, because it was losing a soulmate. That's the way I can say it. So, like, you have become a dear friend. Like, Ashley, so much of this is, like, about friendship. It's barely even about this podcast. Like, Ashley, even this week, like, you are a person who I'll just be like, Ashley, you're getting this really vomit, like, help. I have to verbalize this to someone. And your willingness to engage and just listen, and, like, your desire, and I will say your commitment to this podcast. Like, we've all been committed, but, like,
yeah,
I know that if you say you can't do it, it's literally because you literally cannot do it. Because you will move things around, and it's just been really helpful. It's been so impactful for me. Like, Becca, oh my God, the wisdom that you bring, like, from the moment I was in your workshop at the First Revoice is in my dissertation, just so you know. Like, it's yeah, because it was that impactful for me. I was crying. It revolutionized my vision of family. And, like, Grant, you are a prophet. I'm just going to say that.
Yep.
You're a hilarious prophet. You're a prophet.
For sure.
In all of these ways. And, like, Elizabeth, Mary, I'm going to say this one together, and then I'll give you each one. I literally, even though neither of you have been on the podcast for the full time, your impact has been so much that I'm like, has Mary been, like, the whole time? And isn't Elizabeth been the whole time?
Yeah.
Like, that's so crazy. But, like, I would say, Elizabeth, the whole thing that I learned about being honest and, like, willing to say difficult things, you're a person I learned that from.
Yes.
I will really say. Like, you have, like, been an image of that. And Mary, God, Mary, you embody I was re-listening to episodes, and, like, there's ways that you would find a nuance and stuff that I'm like, wow, that is, like, such a unique nuance that I, like, would never have seen. Like, never have seen. And you do it with such a comedic and, like, joyful understanding. It's, like, gorgeous. And, like, Jacob, oh my God, this podcast wouldn't have happened. You were, like, the silent support, this foundation.
Amen. Jacob is a big part of our team.
Yeah, you were a co-host. You are a co-host.
Yeah. Mary, to piggyback off what Josh said, I'll go here. I know you do. I'm someone who, one of my old friends calls me Henry Gray Area Buto because I'm so comfortable with life in the gray areas. And you are someone who finds beauty in the gray areas and the nuance, like Josh was saying. And so I've appreciated that about you. I just admire you so much. And, like, every chance I get to interact with you, I wish it was more, but I'm just always rooting for you and just championing you. And I just enjoyed our time together on that first season that we were on together. Ashley, girl, my girl in the closet, what can be said? No, y'all had to go back and listen to the first, like, episodes. Like, Ashley would be, oh my God, your son wasn't even born when we first started this.
No.
That's wild.
No.
And so
No.
it's time just, like, time's crazy. But like Josh was saying, you have been so faithful to this podcast, like in so many ways. You have been a glue, an essential part of just like keeping this team together, and like the way you care about each person individually and just do meaningful things. Like I got you a keychain in the mail the other day and it was so sweet.
I know.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
And I was like, I love that.
Oh my God.
Jacob, I have to say, I like you more than I thought I would. And so, it's
that is a compliment.
Strictly,
that's a compliment. When did Henry say that?
Yes, it's partially due to your age though, because I was just like, I don't have time to interact with someone this much younger than me at a consistent level. But especially like a baby gay, I've raised enough baby gays. I don't have time. But like, no, I have thoroughly enjoyed getting to know you. Last summer, him and I went, was that last summer or 2 summers ago?
I think it was last summer.
Yeah, last summer. We went on a hot girl walk and had some ice cream here in Fort Worth. And I was just like, oh my God, this guy's actually really like I enjoy him. And so, and I don't enjoy a lot of people your age. And so, but that's not true.
Wait, to make that compliment sandwich then.
That's right. How old is Jacob?
Hey.
Yeah, wait, how old is Jacob?
27.
Oh, okay, maybe. Okay, you're fine.
Yeah,
okay.
Henry.
When we first...
Man is almost 30.
He's 16.
When I first met him, he was like, what, 23?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
that's true. When you met him, he was like 22,
And I was 31. I don't want... What am I doing with 23-year-old? So, but I'm glad that the Lord brought you into our lives, and truly it has been a joy just getting to see you grow. And like even when you were saying about the Pride episode, I was like, look at him leading us and asking these questions. I was like, okay, moderator. No, that was good. Yes. Grant, I'm going clockwise on my screen here. But Grant Hartley. Girl, you are so messy.
You don't know the half of it.
Oh my God! First of all,
I think he knows more than that. That's why.
Yeah, you need.
Yes, as
he was writing such a messy letter right before this call.
Y'all, I literally, as where's this? Just reading this messy thing that Grant had typed up. But no,
Henry, you can't show that to the screen.
Oh, you can't read it.
I think it's already decided the actual thing is not being shared.
Okay.
And you can't read that.
No, you can't
see anything.
No, that's confidential.
Oh, we should talk. Oh, we should kiki with Elizabeth about that. Oh, I know she'd have some thoughts.
We should.
Yeah. But okay, we need to stop recording so we can just talk about this. Okay.
We're doing some community organizing, Elizabeth.
Yeah, people.
But no, Grant. I mean, even though you took credit for me stacking hundreds of chairs and tables at Revoice, and then I died like 2 weeks later, and then you still took credit after. Lord, and just thirst trapping on Twitter for celibate gays. But no, there is never a dull moment. You and I remember even that 1 year at Plano, I think Plano year 2, we saw each other like across the foyer on the other side of church, and you and I just started running and giggling to each other, and I'm just like, oh. And Art is always like, y'all cannot be together. It's the same reason Art says he won't let him and I be on stages. Yeah, he's like, Becca would not let Art and I be on stage together at the same time with the microphone. And so I rarely think Grant and I need to be together with a microphone or anything, but I'm glad Josh saw it okay to do this for us.
No, you're gonna feature on my album when I have my album of music, right?
I can't wait. I'll be there. But I love you, and I have just enjoyed getting close to you. I never know what you're going to say when you call. So it's like, I love picking up your phone calls because I'm like, I have no idea what's about to happen and I'm ready for it. Becca, Miss Becca. I mean, I've always said Becca and I get along really well. We work really well together. We speak each other's languages really well. Like, I mean, 10 out of 10, no notes for Becca on how she could improve as a person. She's perfect to me. But, no, Becca has a very discerning spirit, and I have really grown to love that, and it's benefited me because I'm like, she's on to something here. Like, it's kind of helped me, like, with, like, I don't need to learn lessons for myself when someone else is telling me something or someone can discern. I'm like, let me just go ahead and listen to her. and I'm just gonna be okay. I don't need to learn this for myself because someone else learned it for me. But you are like the mother hen of the group, but so much more than that. And I mean, you're a blue-haired Jezebel.
Blue-haired Jezebel.
Whatever it was, that was so crazy. But I mean, there's so many stories that, anyways. But yeah, Becca, you have a piece of my heart, and anytime you ask me to do something, I will always say yes. And so, I'm at myself now, so let me give myself some flowers.
Do it.
No. Stuck in here. Okay, that's the flowers. But no, honestly, I am so sporadic and chaotic. So thank y'all all for dealing with that. I absolutely know that. And Elizabeth, I mean, girl, I just, okay, we had to bring the flavor and the spice, and we brought it. And like, I mean, just meeting you from jump, I was like, oh, this girl's about to be it. I loved it. And so I'm always rooting for you. And you are doing so much for this community, Side B community, and just the queer community, even beyond Side B, and just the work you're doing in New York City and with your organization. And I'm honored to truly learn from you. Like when you speak, I'm like, oh, let me pay attention, because she's not just talking just to hear herself talk. She's saying something that matters, that has value, that's of substance, and that is for the edification of the body and us as individuals. So I thank you so much, and I love you dearly. And I love you all. What a journey. I cannot believe it's been the end of an era.
Yeah.
Sorry for rambling.
No, you're fine. Obviously, I wish we had time for everyone to go around in a full circle. So in the next question, go ahead.
Can I give one for everyone? I think the image that's coming to mind for me is like Inside Out. I feel like all of you have sort of played a role, like, and brought something really specific. So I'm really thankful for the different lights that you have shed on my life and on what it means to live a life pursuing Jesus. I think you all have such specific wisdom grounded in your specific experience, and it's a gift that you've been so generous with. And I could get into all the specifics. I think I have stories with each of you, but I'm just so thankful to have journeyed alongside of you. I'm thankful to call you friends.
Yeah. Thank you. And I do want to say, throw flowers in Josh's direction. I don't know, carnation.
Yes.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
absolutely.
Bouquets.
One, an amazing cattle wrangler with all of us.
Yes.
Like, I remember
yes.
you dealing with me and my stupid schedules and just working that around, lining up people to interview. We basically just had to have a conversation from what I remember. You set up who you're talking to, and here's some research, and here's all the technical things taken care of, and just go.
Yeah, we just had to show up.
That is such an amazing and undervalued skill, and just even remembering, frankly, that I was on the podcast and knowing, like, oh, hey, maybe I should check in with Mary. Like, I'm so touched. Like, and it's just flowers to everyone. Just your juice, your pizzazz, your willingness to jump in with both feet, and occasionally make mistakes in what you say. I mean that in the best possible way. It's everybody is so wonderfully present in their episode, in their podcast, and you really feel for that, and it makes everything more enjoyable and makes moments stick out in your mind a lot more, I think. So thank you, Josh, most of all.
And Josh, you are also an amazing host. Like, you are just an amazing communicator. You are also great at giving people space, like professional from the beginning.
That's right.
So I just loved watching you do your thing, really.
Thank you.
And Josh, I know you want to move on, and
you're fine. Go ahead. Please,
I also know that
I know that maybe we're going to talk about this later. So I don't mean to jump the gun, but I also want to throw flowers to our listeners.
Yes.
Like, I'm sincerely going to miss our listeners because I think that they are just as much a part of this podcast
for
and
sure.
this community than us blabbing on and on every episode. And I am going to miss those conversations with people who say, I listened to you the other day and what you said, like, I've been milling over it for the past 24 hours.
Yeah.
Or I didn't have anybody to talk to. And then I listened to you guys and you were my family that day, or you were the only people that I felt really knew me. And I'm going to miss them.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you're bringing this up because this is also this. Let's do this here because, like, I think I told you all at Revoice this year. I felt bad because it happened in a moment when there was like I only had a limited amount of time, but I literally had someone come to me saying I am alive because of Life on Side B.
Wow.
Like I would not be alive at this moment, let alone here at the conference. And that's powerful. Like the work we did here is not just conversations. We actually helped people give life. And thank you to you listeners for your commitment to us because, it's powerful. Okay, we have one last section. I'm switching things around because of, I just want to respect time and things. As we close, Life on Site B, or this section of Life on Site B, kind of one of the things I'm saying is that Life on Site, I'm throwing this out to all you co-hosts, everyone. Jacob, if you want to take on the podcast, we'll talk about it. But also everyone else, if you have a random idea for an episode you want to do, like I'm happy to add another random after episode. You're welcome to do it. Like, but this is the closing of the We're not doing seasons. We're not doing all of us together. We're not doing any of that. That's mostly on y'all and if like something needs to come. But as we close this era, I kind of feel like this is a moment kind of like Spiritual Friendships blog kind of ending. And there's like, this will become an archive and like allowing other people to go forward.
Well, at least we ended it like by letting people know it ended versus just,
oh, it's not
Okay.
happening anymore.
I was like, oh, they're just not there anymore.
All right.
I don't think it's a Game of Thrones ending either, so that's nice too.
Yes. That's exactly. What words do you have for Side B going forward? What are your hopes? Where this can be taken from here? What is your maybe things that have stood out to you that you're like, I really hope you take this from the podcast, like, and develop it more or something like that?
I have been listening to, my taste in music is sad lesbian lyrics with upbeat tempo, so you forget you're sad and then you end up crying. So that's my taste in music. So I'm a huge fan of Muna and their lead singer Katie Gavin. She recently released an album and she has a song on there called The Baton. And like first time I heard it, I was leaving Chicago and sober, and I was just bawling at the TSA line. It's just like, this is great. But I was listening to it this morning at the gym, and I know we're going to record tonight, and I was like, this feels like the one lyrics, like the baton, it will be passed again. It feels like we're just passing on the baton to the next wave of Side B people, and I think like that saying like leave people better than you found them. I can't say to pat ourselves on the back. I think we're leaving this community with this podcast a lot better than we found them. And we have added value to this conversation and this movement and this body. And the baton is theirs. Like, I want to see more teaching, more speaking, more writing. I mean, just even the conversations we're having now, like Elizabeth said, we tackle topics that people weren't talking about. And now the space for these dialogues to happen. So that's just what I want to see for Side B. From when we want some more dialogue, more connection, more authenticity, I think more bravery, and more just like, more authenticity where people don't feel shame or don't feel like you don't have to hide. Just talk, just have matter-frame conversations. And you'd also know what I really want to see. I think for some of these conversation spaces and ministries, to not, and I said this on my episode with Josh and Grant this season, but like to not exist in a place where they're like there's so much reliance on donor sponsorship that your hands are tied by what you can and can't do, what you can and can't say, and I'm just like, so that's my second wish for side B in my
live out the vision,
forward.
and God will bring the money.
That's right.
Yes.
And to piggyback off that a little bit, but also take it a completely different direction.
Love that.
Keep your eyes on Jesus. Like at the end of the day, like back in the flower section, I was going to say this, so I'll use it as a way to also give flowers. Because Henry, I think one of the things that I don't even remember what episode it was. Something that you talked about was whenever side B people go affirming, and how I think you used the phrase "people go running to their fainting couches."
Yes.
And like that idea like was a perspective shift for me, because like, why am I side B? Am I side B because I love Jesus and I think this is what Jesus is calling me to, or am I side B because Wesley Hill is side B?
Yeah.
But no, like, you know, whether we're talking about like whatever conversation we're having, like life on side B only works if we are looking to Jesus, the founder and perfecter of our faith.
Yes. And on that, I will say Elizabeth and I had a couple of mimosas in Hell's Kitchen or wherever we were, and talked about that. We're like, why did
ruined me those mimosas? By the way,
it was a Sunday. She had to go pick up her kids, and I had to go back to Brooklyn to go to church service.
you were going to church. I was going to go see a comedy show with one of my favorite lesbian comedians. I slept through the whole thing. Missed it all. Tig Notaro. I love
Tig Notaro.
Who doesn't love Tig Notaro? But anyway, sorry, Henry.
No, I was just saying.
Back to our mimosas.
Yes, that's
she probably heckled you and you didn't even know. You were sleeping through it.
No, but that's when we fleshed that out of just like, yeah, make sure you side B for you, and because of how you're looking at Christ and how you feel called, and how you that you feel that it's a calling and a blessing to you and not a burden and a gift, because white knuckling your faith and your belief and your ethics is not sustainable. So I remember Elizabeth and I having that conversation, and at one point in time, oh my gosh, you might have to cut this out, but Elizabeth and I were talking, and she was like, so because so many people try to decide if they're side A, side B, she's like, okay, if y'all just want to go have sex, just go have it and see it's not always cracked up to be.
It's true. It is true. Can I just say, as a person who has had a lot of gay sex, it is not what it's cracked. It is a lot of work, y'all.
You say this on our last episode. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
It is a lot of
work. It does seem like a lot of work.
It is.
Over promises, under delivers.
I have a friend
much like
who's
all
like,
of sin.
she says it
Everyone
all the
give it up
time.
for our, I guess, our favorite top, Josh.
Oh my
I'm working.
Transition us, Elizabeth. Go ahead, please.
Oh, I was going to keep talking about the sex thing, but that's fine. That's fine.
No, go ahead. What were you going to say? What were you going to say?
Please go.
No, I'm not encouraging everybody to go out and have sex, though. Josh is right. Like, come on, guys.
It's
eat
not
some
TV.
ice cream. We're all going to make it.
Have
some chocolate.
Exactly.
Take a shower. Go for a run.
It is not what you see on TV. That is
Yeah. And you know, I had this really great conversation with a friend, another queer friend, the other day. We were both. It's my new family member. And we were both sick, so we spent 3 days sick in bed watching like old Disney Channel movies, and then we watched something Sunday. I can't remember what it was, but it's about this like pastor that becomes Unitarian. Anyway, we ended up having. It was a great movie. we ended up having this long conversation. What does it mean that we inherit the kingdom of God? And what does it look like for us to share the kingdom of God for other people? And we are sick as dogs having this conversation. I'm bringing out slides from a presentation I gave. And then we turn on gospel music and we are hands lifted, like on the couch, sniffling, just giving glory to God. And he says to me, Elizabeth, I think that's got to be better than sex. Like, it's got to be. And I was like, absolutely.
Yes.
Like, come on,
Love
right?
it.
Like,
Love it.
anyway, what, to your point, Josh, of what do I want to tell this IB community? I want to say, keep asking the hard questions.
Yes.
Yep. Keep discovering something new. Do not become sedentary. Do not give up on your calling, but not just keep pressing on, but keep discovering.
Yeah.
Because our
Yeah.
God is dynamic. The gospel is doing things that I never thought the gospel could do. I never thought the gospel would do. I've watched the gospel do some things that are wild, you guys. So, like, let's not give up on that curiosity and imagination of what God can do in your life as you continue to pursue him in your sexuality and gender. It's going to be a wild, beautiful ride. And I am so, so blessed that I can see that happening in some of your lives. Share it with me, please. Email me. I want to know. But don't stop. Don't stop.
Okay. I think there are two things that come to mind for me. One is the wedding at Cana, when the mother of Jesus, which is the name that she's known by in the Gospel of John, she's only known by her relationship with Jesus, which I think is very beautiful. She says to the waiters, do whatever he tells you. And I think I want our listeners to have the courage and the wisdom and the peace to be able to do whatever Jesus tells them to do. Even if it is strange, even if it is easily misunderstood, even if it doesn't make sense at first. I want our listeners to do whatever Jesus tells them to do. And the second thing is a phrase that's meant a lot to me in my spiritual life over the past several years since taking this step into the Catholic Church on my spiritual journey at a Jesuit church is finding God in all things. And I think that's so much of the theme of what we've talked about on this podcast is how to find God in your life now, not in some like life where you're straight or where you're cis or where you're respectable or where, the life that you're actually living right now. Your queer life, like Jesus is there. God is active in your queer life now in surprising ways that people can learn from. And I think that's a lot of what we've all been sort of sharing is how God is at work in our queer lives. So I think I want listeners to think about how to keep their eyes peeled for how God is moving in perhaps unexpected ways.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Any others?
Yeah, for me, this kind of jumps back to something that Elizabeth said a little earlier about the conversation being better than sex. That I think my encouragement would be to pursue the types of intimacy that are going to be with us for eternity. Like, we can so easily be sidetracked by the here and now and thinking if I don't have this one thing or this type of relationship or whatever it might be, that I'm somehow missing out. But to even in building the kingdom now, doing that within yourself and for yourself as you are working for the Father, of being able to say, the intimacy and the relationships that I have now are things that will only grow stronger. They will not change. They will not end. Seek those relationships, and you'll be seeking the kingdom first. You will be building the kingdom, and will be, storing up treasures that will be in heaven and will be on the new earth and will be continuing. That, those are the relationships that matter for eternity. And as long as I keep that perspective, I know that helps me keep my eyes focused on Jesus. So yeah, that's my encouragement.
That's a word.
That's a word. Build towards eternal intimacy.
Mm-hmm. Any others?
Just continue to have conversations and hold space for community building, especially.
Yeah.
Don't become a cryptid like me. I promise you, it's not good. And it's a continuous process to build community, and sometimes it was too tough that I pieced out, honestly. Don't do that. It's really, truly. And I think your life is going to be fulfilled in that way, especially when you're circling the wagons around Jesus. I'm sorry, that was so hunting.
No, it's good.
No,
I
love
liked it.
Me too.
Anyone have everyone gone? Ashley, did you share? Did you have anything? No? Okay. That's fine.
Josh, can I just say,
go ahead.
You are guys, you are loved. You are seen. Your creator knows you intimately. He wants to join you in the depths of your despair and in the highs of your joy.
Yes.
Do not give up hope, because you are worthy. You are worthy to be called children of God.
100%. And for listeners, which I'm going to say here, we're going to say goodbye. I wrote a letter to Side B, which you all I would love if you could listen to it. It only takes 4 minutes. But after we finish this, I will share with you all my going away thoughts, because I felt there was a power in the fact that I started this season 1 kind of having conversations, and I kind of wrote a love letter to our listeners, a little bit of thoughts. But this is a moment as we close this up, and it's like gorgeous and beautiful. And I am so thankful, first of all, to you co-hosts. You all are dear people that have more to say going forward. This is not the end of what you have so much more to say going forward. This is just the beginning of what each of you is going to do, not only in this conversation, but just in the world, and listeners as well. You have so much. This is just the beginning. This whole thing, we've been doing this for barely any time. There is so much more work, and we are excited to have laid groundwork for you to keep going. So,
yeah.
So really quickly, final thoughts. I wanted to say a special thanks to Erin Phelps, who helped actually she listened to the entire podcast, pulling out all of those clips for that beginning segment.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Erin is is a part of the team. So thank you so much for that.
And is a gem. He's amazing.
She's the best.
Yeah. And for everyone else, you will hear me again if you listen to my dissertation. Coming out April 7th, the trailer of which will come out March 24th. So,
and you are going to listen.
You are going to
we
listen.
Can't. That's right.
Speaking
of
that.
After that, you'll listen to Holy Ourselves, my new podcast. So continue.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Speaking of, if any of you ever write a book, when each of you write a book, I will be the first one in the pre-orders, because I want to listen to anything and everything any of you say.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. All right. Well, this is us. Thank you, everyone. We love all of you. We will be signing off, and just stay on, because then I will have something here.
Bye, guys. We love
Bye.
you.
So sweet.
Hi, friends. We are here at the closing of an era. I'm not going to say the end, but a transition. A transition into something new. And born from everything we have been through up till now. As this series closes, I want to take these final moments to speak directly with you all, just as I did when all of this began. Starting this podcast was an act of exploration, born from my own questions and uncertainties. Back then, I was navigating a season of immense personal growth and discovery, a time when I was seeking answers about family, faith, and identity. In many ways, this platform became a shared journey for all of us to ask those hard questions together. Season 1 emerged from my longing to understand what family could look like for me as a Side B Christian. How could I submit my desires to Christ while pursuing a thriving, joyful life? What does it mean to embrace a traditional sexual ethic while fully living out my identity? These questions grew over time, and so did our community. I started this podcast because I was weary of sidestepping the tough conversations, those real, raw questions we often avoid out of fear of judgment. Even as this podcast concludes, I hope we can continue to build spaces where Side B Christians feel safe to address the challenges we face. We should never have to hide behind closed doors to speak the truth of our experiences. Our experiences matter, and our voices deserve to be heard. One of my favorite phrases right now is say the scary thing, ask the hard question. Because for every question we fear to ask, there's someone else facing the same struggle. Our convictions, our beliefs are not meant to bind or blindfold us. They're meant to set us free, to lead us into a life of flourishing. And I stand here today, more convinced than ever that thriving as a queer person with a traditional sexual ethic is not just possible, it's beautiful. It's a journey I've lived, and it's one I cherish deeply. Looking back on the person I was 6 years ago when I started life on Side B, I see how far God has brought me. I'm living a life I couldn't have imagined, surrounded by a family that includes my partner, our roommate, our church, and so many incredible voices from this community. I've learned to love myself as God created me, and to love others in ways I never thought possible, even those who often feel hard to love. But of course, I don't have it all together. If you've followed this podcast, you know I'm committed to honesty. There are still struggles, tears, and areas where I need to grow. Yet even with those, I can say with confidence that God's grace has led me to a place of deep joy and fulfillment. To you, the listeners who have become friends, I say thank you. Beyond what's been shared on the podcast, your messages, emails, and texts have been a profound source of encouragement and growth for me. You've taught me how to listen better, own my mistakes, and embrace vulnerability. You've walked with me through life's highs and lows, through losses, new beginnings, job transitions, and even personal failures. You've seen me, and for that, I am endlessly grateful. Before I go, I want to leave you with a few thoughts to my straight and cisgender Christian listeners, especially those of you in leadership. Please lead with humility and justice for the marginalized. Let go of fear and self-preservation and stand boldly for those who are often rejected. If people leave your church because you choose to love and protect queer people, trust that God will honor your faithfulness. To my Side B family, may we always strive to include all voices at the table, even when it's uncomfortable.
Our strength lies in our diversity. Let's not sacrifice inclusion for the sake of respectability. Legalists will never love us. God's kingdom belongs to the humble and the marginalized. My prayer is that all of us may live authentically and courageously, not hiding the parts of ourselves we fear others will judge. Bring your whole self into the light, the doubts, the struggles, the secrets, and let God work in those spaces. True thriving comes when we embrace all of who we are, allowing God's grace to transform us. Community will never be perfect, but it's worth the effort. Lean in, take action, and build the spaces you long for. We are stronger together. Though this is goodbye for life on Side B, this is not the end of our journey. There's so much just around the corner. You will be hearing from me soon enough in new podcasts, Becoming Whole, Holy Ourselves. You will also hear from all of the other co-hosts in the future. Of that, I am sure. Finally, I promise you this. The mission of Life on Side B, to advocate for the inclusion of Side B Christians in the church, the queer community, and within Side B itself, does not end here. Though our work may look different, the heart of this podcast will always remain. Thank you for walking this road with me. Let's keep pressing into the hard, holy, and beautiful work ahead. I love you all.